the song "I'm Still Here," it blew up like crazy. But I wrote that song in about 30 minutes. I was sitting there. I was drinking beer, sitting there, and the idea "I'm Still Here" popped in my head, and I wrote. I just poured my heart onto a paper for like 30 minutes, and then I put it all together. And I went in and did a rough demo of it, and I put it out on TikTok, and it started taking off, and then in a matter of probably 3 weeks from there is when I released the song, and it's coming up on over 500,000 streams, and that's huge for me, you know.
Country music isn't one size fits all, and my guest this week proves it. Inspired by the likes of Thomas Rhett and Jelly Roll, and deeply shaped by the sound of his grandmother's piano playing, Dalton Hicks brings a fresh yet grounded perspective to the genre. He was born and raised in South Carolina. He's country to the core. He crafts every song as a solo writer, and he road tests his music both in the studio and on the stage. And with his new single, Day by Day, Dalton joins me to talk about the roots of his sound, the heart behind the lyrics, and what's next on his journey through country music. Dalton will be performing at Stoney's Rockin' Country this Friday, August 15th, with doors opening at 7 p.m. And for ticket information, go to stonysrockincountry.com, and you can follow Dalton on Instagram and TikTok. And Dalton, welcome to the show.
How you doing? How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. So the most interesting thing about you, I think, is the fact that you do like to work on your songs by yourself.
Yeah, I do. Every song I've wrote has been just with me so far.
What's the meaning behind that? In other words, you could easily collaborate with someone, but clearly it's more personal to you. So I assume that that's the reason
I,
that you do it.
I mean, from the songs I've released, you can kind of tell that it's more mainly personal, but at the same time, I'm open to writing with other artists as well.
Okay. So, for now, you're doing it solo.
Yeah, yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, there's a couple of songs by that name, that title, Day by Day. Yours is totally different. How'd you come up with the lyrics for it, and why did you write that particular song? Because that's the current one right now.
Yeah, Day by Day came after I'm Still Here, the one that kind of blew up for me. And I'm Still Here is just about really just telling the world that you're still here, you're still kicking, and you're keeping on pushing on. And Day by Day kind of came as a second wave from that song, just telling people that we're just going to keep on pushing day by day, you know. And it's really, it all just came together, and it was awesome.
Well, you don't look like you're struggling too much. For those listening who cannot tell, but for those of us who are seeing you, you're on a golf cart and you're on
I
a
am on a go.
course.
I'm drinking a lot of beer.
Yeah, and a lot of beer as well. Very good. And so you're clearly having a good time. So
Yes, sir.
how do you mesh that with the general country uh, aura of struggle and heartache and pain, etc.?
I mean, country music's been my life for a long time. I grew up listening to it, and then, I mean, when I turned 17, I picked up a guitar for my first time in my life, and it kind of just changed my mind being able to write your own song. And I really enjoy, I'm gonna be the same person I always am. I'm from Aiken, South Carolina. I like to do redneck stuff. I am a redneck, but that's what I aim. But when I write songs, it's personal, and it means a lot.
Well, you started out being influenced by your mother's piano playing, as I mentioned in the opening. How old were you when you first realized that she played the piano and you really enjoyed it?
Yeah, my grandma, she grew up playing the piano, and went through church and everything. It wasn't my mom, it was my grandma, and it was actually it inspired me to get into music, I think, because that's the first time, I ever was directed into pursuing anything musically.
But you waited till you were 17.
That picked up the guitar at 17, and then but I played piano with my grandma and just messed around with her while she was doing her church stuff and everything.
So were you playing the piano a little bit at that point?
Yeah, yeah, I started on piano with my grandma.
Was there a particular country song that she played, or maybe she didn't play any country music, but maybe she did. So if she did, what was it that you liked? Or even if it wasn't a country song, what was it that you liked particularly about the kind of music she played?
She really just taught me the simple stuff on the piano. Me and her just played all the time. She didn't really have a thing for country music. She might have listened to it every now, but she never played it on the piano.
So what kind of
And
music was she playing then?
just it was all church music. She
Oh, okay. Okay.
cousin we practiced a lot for church and everything, and that's where I kind of stepped in and learned everything from her.
So your next album is going to be the Dalton Hicks Gospel Choir, right?
No, no.
No, no, can't do that in the beer at the same time, I guess. So, so that that can't work out. So how did you start knowing you were getting a following initially? Because you built this following without really a lot of support or big promotional pushes, but you were able to do it. So take me through those steps on how you started your career to the point where you're now recording. Obviously, you're performing. As I mentioned, you're going to be at Stoney's this Friday as well. Doors open at 7. I think performance is at 10. But
Yeah.
how did you get that? Take us a little bit through it.
I released my first song in 2019, and then from there, it's kind of been uphill from there. But then I had a little setbacks here and there. But I'm still here, which I recorded and released about a year ago, coming up, or maybe a little less. But that's really the song that put me on the map in some big places and got me in places I never thought I would be, just like Stoney's in Las Vegas this Friday.
Yeah, and
But
you have you been to Vegas before?
this will be my first time in Vegas.
Okay, so since this is your first time in Vegas, are you going to have time to see some of the sights, or are you locked in for just performing?
Yeah,
Not
we're
just
going
performing, but
Thursday.
performing.
I'm gonna be on going up Thursday. I'm gonna be on Fox News in Las Vegas, doing my unreleased song on TV. That's gonna be awesome. And then from there, we play Friday night, and then we're gonna stay the whole weekend and enjoy our time. And
There you go.
yeah,
Yeah. When you're traveling, is it a big group that comes with you, or a small group, or just two people?
just the band. Me and my band's been together for 2 years, and it's the same people that I've been with for 2 years, and they're always with me when I can have them. If I need to get replacements, I do. But other than the band, it's really just family and friends that join and come to shows. But Vegas, my dad and my stepmom will be there along with some of their friends. But
No,
yeah,
you got a built-in audience.
yeah.
You mentioned the band. Now, it would be remiss if you didn't give them a shout out in terms of who's who and what's what. Like who's
Oh yeah, we got Jackson Ellis. He plays electric guitar. We got Jonathan Osborne. He's on drums. We got Logan Vaughn on rhythm guitar. We have on bass guitar, we have Alice Kilroy, and then there's me that sings, Dalton Hicks.
the one and only Dalton Hicks.
Yes, sir.
So, well, now when you first started putting the band together, were you pretty sure that you were going to be able to have it be able to have the band tour and record both?
No, not at all. When we first started the band, it was we try and get local shows here and there, but at the same time, we had goals, we had a passion, and we've been pushing towards it, and it's really worked out.
So you had a cohesive group from the very beginning.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, it's a funny story how we met.
Please tell us.
So I used to do plumbing, and I was on top of a school running a water line from an AC unit, and somebody saw my tattoo. It's a uh, it's a tattoo of a microphone on my arm. You can't see it. My phone's a little
Yeah,
messed
no, I
up.
can see it. That's good. Our viewers will see it. The
Hey,
listeners will
up
imagine.
there, they were doing something else on top of the school at the time. They saw my tattoo, and they were in a rock band, and he ended up inviting me to one of their band practices, and they fell in love with my voice, and that's how it all started. They're my brothers, and they're my everything. They're the world.
You gave up the plumbing for the music.
No, I still work a day-to-day job during the week.
You're still doing it.
Oh yeah,
Very good. Let's go over to that side for a second about it because I'm intrigued by that. So you're still doing other stuff, and I would imagine that kind of keeps you grounded as well.
yeah, yeah. Definitely during the week, I'm trying to make money, and then on the weekends we're gone. I usually leave out on Thursdays, but usually it's Fridays through Sunday. I'm gone and playing shows, and then come back and back to work.
And of course, they all know that what you do when you're out performing.
Yeah, no, not sometimes, yeah.
So when the band looks back over the last 2 years, are they amazed at how where you've gone to in terms of the recordings and the touring?
Yeah, my guys have they play with a couple of different bands over the 2 year span just so they can make money, playing shows and everything. But everybody's really getting dedicated to where the progress has been going with my name and how it's been getting out there, and we're so excited to see where it takes us.
Well, you're going to be good in Las Vegas. That's a great location for you, a great venue and a
We're
great
excited.
city to perform in. And you can then when you get back and you're working at something, you go say, "Hey, I performed in Las Vegas."
Yeah,
So, yeah, it works out fine. When you mentioned earlier about your voice, and it is unique. Did you always have that it's obviously a country voice, as I call it, a country voice. And it's in that realm of a lot of country male singers who have a very distinctive male voice. They're different from each other, but they're still very distinctive male voices and perfect for country music. I mentioned earlier on too some of the people that influenced you. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
yeah. It started with my grandma, and that's what put me into music in general. Not even country music at the time. It was just getting to learn the piano was awesome, and I don't really know it that well, but with the time I had with her at the time, it was my great grandma, and it was just beautiful to be able to start my music career with her being there in every step of the way. But I don't know, Jelly Roll, that's another one of my influencers. He really just his songs collide with how my songs come out to the world. We're trying to, instead of the whole talking about girls, singing about girls, the country thing, as you would say, it's more like I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to motivate people in life and through my music.
And what about Thomas Rhett?
Thomas Rhett's a family man, and that's what I always have looked up to, always wanted to be. I wanted to be playing music, but at the same time have a family behind my back the whole way.
When you're writing your songs, are you thinking ahead in terms of how you want to have those songs have an impact on listeners?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say every song except my first one, "Goodbye Kiss," has been just trying to tell people to get up and keep moving. And I mean, it started. I released the second song after my "Goodbye Kiss." I released with the band, and our band is called Self-reliance Proper, and I have a song out with them called New Way, and that's really where it kind of took off. From there, we recorded up in Nashville with that song, and then we kind of changed back to my name, and we started running with my name. That's why the last two releases have been with my name.
Yeah, gotcha. What got you to focus on a particular message you wanted to give in the songs you write for people? In other words, you look like a very happy guy. You're on the golf course, you're drinking beer, you're smiling, and yet clearly there's some pain somewhere based on something that enabled you to write and connect with people.
I've had a rough life. I've not really to the rough is an extent, but like just rough life saying that I moved out of my parents and everything right out of high school, and I've been on my own ever since. And that is a struggle, but at the same time, I'm gonna look back on it and be like, you did it, and I don't know. There's some other things that are personal to me, and but that's really the main one. Just being on my own for a pretty much long time. My family has my back, but I kind of removed myself from the equation in my younger years, right after high school.
You decided to do it right after high school. Was there and this isn't a personal question, it's really more a sense of you that I'm asking this question, but you clearly decided to go out on your own. And after high school, it's not as bad as if you left when you were 12, or you
Yeah,
were away from home at 9. So at least you were 16 or 17, somewhere in there.
yeah.
Right. So yes, it probably would be difficult, but you were almost to the point of an adult at that point. How did you find your way?
I can't lie. Just working and literally living day by day. That's
Which is a song. So you tied that in very nicely. Yes.
that's
But how did you know at that point you were going to be in music, or were you were going to learn the trades and then incorporate music?
I definitely I'd say about senior year of high school is when I played or when I picked up the guitar. So I don't really know. I don't think that I at the time thought I'd be doing any of this, be anywhere. At the time I was more focused about drinking beer with my buddies and literally living for the weekend. And yeah,
Now you're drinking beer with Ira, so it works out fine. You could continue
yeah,
pattern. So there you go. But the The choices you made, though, in terms of there's two parts to this as I see it. You clearly were on your own, struggling in many cases, defining who you were. And then you had a choice of not just a choice, but you can combine them, writing and performing. So, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Did you think you were going to be a writer first and then a performer, or a performer first and then a writer, or did it all combine at the same time?
It all combined at the same time. I didn't know anything.
And then you started writing. And how did you know that the songs would be successful? You're because again, you're doing things on your own here.
The song "I'm Still Here" it blew up like crazy, but I wrote that song in about 30 minutes. I was sitting there. I was drinking beer, sitting there, and the idea "I'm Still Here" popped in my head, and I wrote. I just poured my heart onto a paper for like 30 minutes, and then I put it all together. And I went in and did a rough demo of it, and I put it out on TikTok, and it started taking off, and then in a matter of probably 3 weeks from there is when I released the song, and it's coming up on over 500,000 streams, and that's huge for me. That's one step closer to being where my dream is. And my dream, I can't lie, my dream really didn't start until I really picked up a guitar. I've always had pictures of me, singing karaoke and everything, but I didn't think anything would come from it. It wasn't really my dream. I wanted to be a marine biologist, but school wasn't for me. And when I picked up that guitar and started writing my songs, it's like it sparked my head, and I was ready to go from there.
That's interesting, marine biologist. And here you left school and you left family and you were out on your own. And yet that's an interesting choice of a profession too. So when what you mentioned your dream was, is there one aspect of your dream particularly that you're looking to fulfill that you haven't
Yep,
yet?
I really world. I don't even half of me, I don't really care about the famous part. If I get famous, I'm gonna still be coming doing the same thing with my family, my friends, and everything. I don't really just want to motivate people with my songs. I want my songs to be everywhere in the world. That's my main goal, and the fame might come with it, but at the same time, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm just gonna be the same old me. I'm not good with social media. I'm not good with anything. I keep on going day by day.
Have you when some of your songs came out, your first one particularly, how did you get feedback on it? In other words, you're talking about how it exploded on TikTok. Were you were you seeing the reaction on TikTok, or did you actually start to get communication in other forms from people that really were touched by the song?
Yeah, I wrote it. I mean, I have some buddies that I sent it to, and I played it for my dad and a couple of his friends, and they were like, "Oh my gosh!" And then I recorded a little video of me singing it and posted on TikTok. It did good. It did all right. And when I actually went in and recorded it and just posted a rough demo of it, it took off, and that's when I released it like 3 weeks later.
It's funny how in today's world, artists such as you can really take control of your own catalog and your own production and
Yeah,
your own distribution. Actually, the most important part is the distribution because you can release it in a lot of different ways that uh, singers couldn't do it 30 years ago, 40 years ago. You had to sign with a major label. So it must be at some level of pleasure for you to realize that you can get this out, your work product out, and be recognized for it and
yeah,
could be coming to Las Vegas. So it's a different world today than it was 30 years ago. And
yeah. It is insane.
yeah, and how do you schedule your work and your leisure or pleasure in the sense that I'm talking to you now on a golf course, and so you're obviously having some leisure, which is great.
Yeah,
I'm not knocking that at all. But how do you balance the writing and the performing and the leisure and the family so that it all, if it can, balance out? Ah, you're
that's a
shaking
good.
your head. You're
I
not
don't
sure.
know. Yeah, we got off work today about 3 o'clock, and we had decided to come out here, and we got a tea time at 3:50. That's how quick everything went today. You know, I, but other days, I like to just chill out, and during the week, especially, I like to sit down with the guitar and write my music. And but really my management team, Burning Ground, has they've been doing a lot for me and keeping me like on track because they know who I am. They know that I'm not the best with the social media and everything. I'm not the best with anything because I never knew. I'm just I'll say it again. I'm just a country boy. But I don't. but I'm living life and I'm having a good time doing it.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Have you thought about it because you are, in a sense, identified in a certain way and you have a very distinct voice. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of country artists, male country artists that you have that kind of voice that connects with people. Have you thought about performing at some point in the Grand Ole Opry?
Yeah, that's a dream as well. That's a dream as well. It's probably every country music singer's dream.
I would think so. Yeah. Have you visited the Grand Ole Opry though?
Yeah, I visited it. We took a tour actually the first time we went to Las Vegas. I mean
Nashville.
Nashville. Uh, that's when we recorded New Way with my band, and that was it was awesome. We took a tour and we stayed the whole weekend because I mean you play one show or you have a recording or something, but at the same time you get to experience everything you get to experience in Nashville. It's just a blessing. So we stayed.
When you decide where you want to record, how do you decide what studio to go to?
Uh, I got I got lucky with one studio. It was Omni Sound in Nashville, and that was with Bill McDermott. But I got lucky with that one. But now we're working at we're looking at going to BMG with Jeff Huskins and everything. It's looking pretty good. It's just a lot of money, a lot of money to really get your stuff to take off and go. It's not as easy as everybody thinks. I had one song that blew up, but at the same time, you got to keep on grinding and push new stuff out.
You mentioned Omni, it was demolished, right?
Yeah, Omni was demolished and they relocated. They're actually right down the street from my management company, Burning
Oh,
Ground
okay.
Entertainment.
It's always funny to me when an artist records in a studio and then at some point the studio no longer exists, but the artist does and the recordings do. And so do you ever get a strange feeling that here's a something you've recorded in a studio that's no longer there? Yes, I understand they relocated, but the point is you created the magic in this space and then the space goes away. You're still here, your music's still here, the
Yeah.
recording's still here, but the studio's not there. Does that ever strike you in a strange way?
Nah, he got another studio started up that's just right down the road. That building was really old and
Right.
but
But you
never
did, I guess
never
the reason I'm asking it is depending on the studio, for example, I'm thinking of Capitol Records in Hollywood, where so many great entertainers recorded. And if you go in there, you can just feel the vibe, Frank Sinatra and the Beach Boys and
yeah.
Dean Martin and Nat King Cole, etc. So when you mentioned the Omni, that's what I was thinking is that maybe you get a certain vibe being in there, but now it's not there. Yes, it's a new facility now,
Yeah.
but the old one. Similar to, I guess, what I'm trying to get at in my own way is the Grand Ole Opry when they moved, the Ryman Auditorium, it had a whole sense to it. And they obviously took part of the stage and put it in the new location. But that's where I was trying to go with it. But clearly, you're not sentimental about it, so I'll drop it.
Yes, sir.
But in addition to, besides the day by day, are you working on additional songs
Oh yeah,
leading up
we got
to?
works. When I come up there and play in Vegas, I'll be coming up a day early, and I'll be on Fox News in Las Vegas, and I'll be playing my new unreleased song. It's called "Poison in Its Veins,"
So
and
you
we're
say it's unreleased, but are you going to release it at some point?
oh yeah, oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
the one we're pushing right now. We're waiting. I'm saving up money to get in the studio.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
So when you're recording in the studio, and I've asked this of other guests, when you're recording in the studio, there's a lot more technical aspects to it than when you're doing a live performance. And again, you're going to be at Stoney's on August 15th, this Friday, and doors open at 7. When you perform before a group, an audience, a boisterous audience that likes your stuff, you're getting feedback that you don't get in the studio. But in the studio, you get close to perfection because you can take one, two, and three up to how many takes you want. You could tweak it, especially with the way digital technology works today. You can make it whatever you want. So I guess my question is, it's a long question, but I'm getting there. How does that work for you as recording in the studio and not having any feedback other than from the engineers and the producers and performing in front of a crowd?
Crowd is really, you're trying to get everybody hype. You're trying to get everybody with you in every song. You're trying to, but in the studio, it's more like you want to get it perfect. Um, Everybody's in there. Yeah, it might sound good first take, but let's take five more takes. And it's really about just getting it dialed in. You go back and go over every take you do and pick out the best parts of it and just put it all in the song. But with playing live, it's I pour my heart into playing live. We do a show and we make a show happen. There could be sad people in the bar. They're gonna be happy when they leave the bar.
Is there a Dalton Hicks fan club?
Maybe somewhere out there. I don't know.
I was just thinking if they really like your performances, there'd be a fan club forming and you
Yeah,
keep them in the loop in that sense. The challenge, I guess, too, is that when you are performing live, when you're done, it's done. When you're recording, your recording lives forever. Do you ever, even though I know you're not chasing fame per se, what about immortality in the sense that a song, your songs are going to be on recording and be there forever digitally?
yeah,
And when you're long gone, so your music will live on, I guess what I'm trying to say. Do you ever think about that?
yeah. I definitely. I mean, everybody thinks about it maybe now and then, but I'd definitely say I'd have some songs out right now that would really hit hard if I ever did.
Before I let you go, what's one thing you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet? I know you have the dreams, and we talked about the Grand Ole Opry as one thing, but is there one particular thing that's germane to you, particularly that you want to accomplish?
I don't know. The we
Too
played.
many?
We no, we didn't play the Ryman. We played outside the Ryman, but I'd say the Grand Ole Opry. I'm reaching for the stars. But that's one thing that is probably my number one accomplishment that I want to do.
Well, there's plenty of time, so that's a great way to leave it. My guest has been Dalton Hicks, whose new single is Day by Day, and he's going to be performing at Stoney's Rockin Country this Friday, August 15th, with doors open at 7 p.m. And for ticket information, go to stonysrockincountry.com and you can follow Dalton on Instagram and TikTok, and he's got a lot of followers on TikTok. Anyway, Dalton, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
See you next time.